because this is not something to rush in. About how many prospects I have, that gets, I'm actually uncomfortable telling you just how many.
Well,
women, it's the thing. How they say, well, many are called, but few are chosen. I'm not bedding down with anybody. I'm out of bed with people. I'm not 20 anymore. Actually, I'll be 50 next Friday, and
okay.
And I'm not punani oriented. No one can offer me punani. I'm looking for a life partner. That's the only thing that would interest me. So no, I don't end up in bed with people or end up habitating. It's been since I decided I was going to live this polygamous life officially at maybe at about 40. I've been interviewing candidates, teaching people, grooming people, but it stays out of my house. They don't even come to my house, and it's few that even have ever been on the phone, because it's a sifting, filtering process. I've spent years celibate for pretty much everybody. If you can't find a suitable partner, having sex for sex sake is counter and brings its own problems. So no, I've been with 2 women in the past 10 years altogether, and there one with. And again, prospects. Then, if you really want to know, Lord, no, that's okay. I'm not going to go there. More than a little bit.
What was the last thing that you said?
Let's just say, I was just going to say that prospects, women that are interested in potentially ending up in this situation with me, it's actually really want a number. But what I'll say, let me add a nuance to this. There are women that have joined my group. They were interested in me, I found out. But on the other hand, there are women that have stepped to me and told me they wanted to be with me. And then we find out at one point, okay, you know what? I like you too much to share you. And you get this, my term for, there are far more polycurious females than serious polygamous females in this new movement, this upsurge we've been seeing. But then when it actually comes into play, no, the jealousy comes up immediately, the possessiveness comes up immediately. They either want to start giving you for interacting with other women, or they admit it up front, hey, I couldn't do this. I like you too much. I couldn't share you. So it's prospects, and it's just so too many to number. Yeah, but, easily half of them aren't really real anyway. They were just curious, and once I started taking that walk with them and they had to honestly imagine themselves in this scenario, they had to back out.
Okay, well, into my
it could be a minefield.
With today's sexual activity going on, there's a lot of sexual transmitted diseases. How do you handle that? Because the way that you put it out, because I have looked at your Facebook, I have researched you, and so it appears to me that you put that out there, and it is an appearance of, okay, you're already doing this, but then you get on the show and you say that you only have one person right now, and you're doing an interviewing process. So I look at it more as, when I saw that there was a lot of dangerous practices going on, because if you are constantly involved in sex, and I'm glad you put it out there, because it is about sex with a lot of people. You're a man, and men have needs, and a lot of times that's the main thing for getting a lot of women, is they want just plain sex. So how do you handle your interview process? Because you just can't look at a person and tell that they don't have HIV or they don't have chlamydia or they don't have syphilis? Do you take them to the doctor and go with the doctor and look at the report? How do you do that?
Okay, you're asking me what I would do, right? Because I already explained I'm not all out there like that at all. So you're asking me what I would recommend for other people?
But you're saying...
As I said, I've spent years celibate. And then in the past decade, I've been with 2 women. One of them I've known for 30 years.
Okay,
I don't fit in that. And I do speak on this publicly. So people might see my Facebook, you see how many women are coming at me openly, how much flirting I do, and rhythm I give, and all this sort of stuff. But I don't try to sell indiscriminate sex to anybody. I'm 100% against that. And I have much that I say in public again.
But you're still not answering my question. My question is, how do you handle that? Because you cannot look at a person, and you can't even take a person's word in this hour that they don't have something that their body does not show in the outward appearance. You can't look at a person and tell they have a sexual transmitted disease. So you said you do interviewing. And
you should get to know the person before you sleep with them. And again, if I'm not being clear maybe about I'm not moving all over the place. I'm not with everybody. The women that I've been with, the 2 women I've been with, I know them. I know them. I know their lifestyle. I know their style. I know them. So you getting the STD unless I start opening my doors to other women, which is why I don't, and why I don't mind coming on the radio in front of everybody and let.
Okay, so this is my
not
view,
for me,
and
but I would recommend other people
have my opinion. Wait a minute, I'm not going to talk.
Go ahead.
And the thing is that you said you know them. Well, personally, I think you put yourself at risk because you can know a person all day long, and I know people, but I don't know every move and everything that they do. The thing is, well, I don't believe in polygamy, and all of my friends know that. I do not like to share no man. That's when if I got to share a man, and we're gonna have some issues. I make that point blank. That's not how I roll. I don't do that. But you can't always take a person's word because unless you live with them.
This needs to be somebody that you trust.
Wait a minute. You interrupted me, and that's rude. That's not being a gentleman.
Actually, I'm wondering why I'm somebody that's anti-polygamous. That's not what I came on the show for.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let me go interrupt because, and you know what, sis, how about
didn't you join my group? I'm not sure why you're in my group.
Okay, hold on.
No, I'm not in your group.
No, that was me.
My bad.
Okay, hold on. Let's do this because we have another call holding on, and we're going to talk about all this after we get through giving Jackson his floor. So we don't want to, go there with that. But let me go ahead and take this call and see what.
And let me give a disclaimer. If you feel antagonistic, don't. I don't have time. I won't talk to you. I'll dismiss you.
Okay. Let's do this. 267, are you there? Area code 267, are you there?
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Keith. King. What do you have for us?
Hello.
Hello. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
Oh yes. Well, I guess I'll start with this comment, or is that I think that every man should speak for themselves in the sense of. I mean, I heard the brothers speak previously about every guy is about sex this, everything involved around sex, about the views of the man, and I just defer with that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I agree. See, it's like a two-edged sword because at the end of the day. Male and female is sex. So in that sense, everything do revolves around sex. But in the sense that that's all that's on a man's mind or, you know what I'm saying, agenda, I think that's just pretty much an opinion about all men. Now, I'm not saying this in the sense of me being against polygamy, because at the end of the day, I'm with the brother in the sense of I'm for polygamy, or I see that that's the best way for black people, especially in this day and age. And so, okay, now the question is, now polygamy is not gender biased. I mean, the word polygamy is just polygamy, married to multiple spouses at a time. And so it doesn't have a brand in the sense of, okay, it's for male or it's for female. So I guess my question was, how would he feel about if women had multiple partners?
Okay, Jackson.
Okay, I was just waiting. And you done? Okay. Well, I maybe you missed me at the top. I actually gave the whole distinction and definition of polygamy. Again, polygamy is not gender specific. Different types of plural marriages or plural unions. Polygamy is the umbrella term for one. Polygamy, as in polygyny, as in multiple females, multiple wives, and then polyandry, as in polyandros, Greek again, as in multiple males. So now I'm not into I'm into polygamy, multiple females. I don't use the term polygamy because it can mean, say it's not gender specific, and I'm gender specific in what I do. The name of my group is called Afrocentric Polygamy, and we talking about multiple men. We're talking about sister wives, and the multiple men club is down the hall. I could say about it, but it's actually not really complimentary, and I won't go into it today. It's not really that important to me. Women that want extra men, the whole dynamic is different. A woman could go out to a bar right now and come home with extra men. So the man has a lot he's got to be accountable for, and a lot of work he's got to do. So, but I'm not into that. So they can. That's them. That's them. The women can do that. The day they feel like having extra men, they can have extra men. There are men that will share a female, and she could get her bills paid by multiple men. Hey, I'm not going to say they shouldn't or whatever. I'll say that's not what I do. That's not what my group does.
Okay, right. Okay, I understand that. Okay, all right. Well, I was calling on the topic of polygamy because that was the topic that was put out there, and not other ways of like that. So another question was actually it wasn't a question, but it was kind of something that I wanted to speak about, comment. Was that diseases? Okay, now in the sense of checking out. I mean, I thought the sister was saying or asking you, how would you check out other people if you was going to accept them? In the sense of disease prevention. That's what I thought she was asking. But at the same time, on the topic of diseases, I think that is also another reason why black people should embrace polygamy or however different way of polygamy is to really prevent diseases coming into the vicinity. Obviously after being checked out and all that stuff and everything solidified, because there's too much disease out here, and there's no sense for everybody. People going outside of relationships to bring stuff back. You know what I'm saying? It's too much stuff out there, and so and at the same time, I see that. I I said previously, like cheating nowadays is like drinking water. You know, and so it would be no need for cheating. It would be no need for cheating if, you know what I'm saying, the other partner could do what the next can do, or whatever it may be, vice versa. And
you know what? Let me interrupt you.
We got to move this on. I do apologize for interrupting, but we really got to move this on. And I want to just reiterate what Jackson said a few times, is that he's not out there like that. So I think, Jackson, it's probably better if you just will answer it as if you're giving other people advice about it, because you already said it on numerous times that you're not out there like that. You know, and the question keeps coming back to you. So maybe if you can just say, you know, I don't even know if you could answer this if this is not pertaining to you, but I guess everybody that's calling is asking about how does you feel when you're picking up so many different wives or women or girlfriends or whatever you have. So what advice would you give to other men who are looking into getting into this relationship? Because I think I heard you say you don't really recommend it. But those are who are, are really trying to get into this.
Would you repeat that last part again?
No, I thought I heard you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you didn't really recommend this. Did I hear you say that?
I still didn't hear that.
No,
it's a word.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I thought I heard you say earlier that you did not recommend.
There you go. Recommend. Okay. I wasn't picking that word up. Okay. No, I don't.
Okay.
Climate and the mind state of black people. Yeah.
Okay. And I actually
I like the theory of it.
I disagree with it.
It has. But who are you going to practice it with? It's only as good as the people you practice it with. So now we got to step out of the whole polygamist thing and just look at America. And you need a different playing field.
Okay.
Going into business. I wouldn't go into business with most black Americans, the mind state they have right now. I mean, any union, our people together. This is just a group dynamic, just one more group. I wouldn't get into a rap group with most black Americans to do in a group. You need good people. It's only as good as its weakest member. It's only as good as its weakest member. Well, we got a lot of weak-minded black.
A lot. They're a majority.
The more you add to the situation, the more you risk adding some dysfunction. We got to get our acts together as the people, and it has nothing to do with polygyny. And if we have excellent people, then polygyny will be as excellent as our business unions will be, as anything we do together will be. But right now, I mean, our men are killing each other, and our women hate each other. We can't. We don't even have to. So it's far greater than just having multiple, punani to run around with like people think it is. Right. And this is our culture that we need to work on. Then you can do any union with people.
I'm going to go ahead and cut you loose so we can take some more calls in, okay? I really appreciate you calling in, sir. Okay.
I'd like to address what he said about it won't be no need to cheat if you're in polygamy. You know what? In theory, yes. But I happen to got cheated on by their polygamous husbands. And I even know women that had the daughters molested. So, but that happens in monogamous relationships. So polygyny has nothing to do with that. It's the character of our people.
Yeah.
And who you pick.
With that part.
You waited before you got with them and before you overlapped your lives.
Real talk. 401. Are you there? And if you are, you have something for our guest.
Yes, I do.
Please, Queen.
Greetings. I want to just first start out and say that I was in a polygamous relationship for 17 years, and I was one of 3 wives.
Okay.
And after that, I was celibate for 14 years. Okay. So I just want to get on the sex part briefly because I think too much time is being spent on it when that isn't the main thing in any relationship, unless you're just, unless you're just that type of carnal person and in your lowest vibration, and this is all you do. It's just like any other marriage in regards to, there's things that have to be done. We're not sitting around having sex all day. And I also want to say that since the issue hasn't been answered yet, I want to say that, especially in today's time, that people should go out and have each other checked if that's what they're concerned about. In regards to the brother who was on Skype, if there was a disease, he would have caught it by now. And the thing about that is, let's say everybody does get checked, but some kind of irritation or something breaks out in one of the sisters or the brother, who knows. You can track it down. You don't have to wonder how many other people has he been having sex with. You know that when he's not sleeping in the bed with you, he's sleeping with his other wife. So if something jumps off, those three people, it's right there in that triangle, and it can be settled. And I wanted to also touch on the pimp comments. That's a character flaw, a pimp mentality. And polygamy in the hands of someone with a pimp mentality is disastrous. It can be fatal because the pimp mentality is exploiting someone. And if you really think about it, the women, if you want to use the word pimp, the women is pimping the brother. He's got to go out and provide for both of them, and they don't have to do anything if they don't want to. So I just wanted to get to that part. If we keep concentrating on the sex part, we're blowing what the life partnership is all about.
Right, I think.
You know what I'm saying?
We talked about a lot more than sex. We haven't been talking about sex this whole time at all.
I didn't say it was the whole time, brother. I'm saying that there's a lot of concentration. I'm saying that there's been a lot of concentration on it, and we could be getting to the other parts of what polygamy is all about.
You have to cover that. And all relationships come together based on sex. Otherwise, you just be friends.
Exactly. And that and I can speak on that as well. But the fact is, brother, that when the sister asked you, could you please speak to these preventive measures, you never got to it, and I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying that I'm willing to speak. I'm willing to speak on it. She was
hostile, and she was
the
character
of
the women that I know.
I understand, but the hostess asked you the question as well, and I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying that since I got called up,
it's real
I'm willing.
simple.
I'm not finished.
To know the person. Okay, please finish.
I'm not finished, and that's what I'm getting to, that we should take the time to get to know people because all of us, whether in a polygamous relationship or not, rush into sex way too soon.
Absolutely.
And that is part of the problem because things change once you have sex. You can know somebody and be their friend forever and ever. But then when you have sex, things change. How many times have we had heard the story where, the whole time we were engaged, everything was great. As soon as we got married, he became this way and she became that way. And that's because sex changes things, and men don't think about sex the same way that a woman thinks about sex. So that's part of the problem in getting to know each other. And so there are times when you don't even have to take an STD test when you really know somebody and you know their habits and you discuss things with them. Exactly, you did. But if you want to be sure about it, because if one person's uncomfortable with it, it's going to be a problem. So this is where compromise comes in. So if one person feels like I need a test from a doctor, then let them have the test from the doctor. There's nothing wrong with that. So
I didn't know people had to be told that, though. So
yeah,
no, I didn't bother
but
telling
some people
them
have
that.
the wrong idea about polygamy, and until we break
Okay.
it down, then it's going to remain that way, even though it may seem as though it's obvious that people should know these things.
I agree with you. I just didn't know it had to be said, but I agree.
So okay, so I wanted to get to that. I also wanted to get to the point about the time that it takes to get to know someone, and why it's so important not to have a pimp mentality and not to go into polygamy, polyandry, or anything else until we get to know each other. We spend so much of our lives being mismatched that, children come into it. That wasn't the one. We thought it was the one for life, but we jumped into the bed too soon. We have to learn how to control that. We have to elevate ourselves. We have to try to ascend into, those higher frequencies and, learn how to control.
Polygamy. That's just relationships in general.
Well,
just in general. It applies to one-on-one relationships. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I don't have sex with anybody I haven't known a year and have been dealing with over that year and getting to. And like I said, in the past 10 years, there's been 2 women that actually made it to being in bed with me. And I knew both of them over 10 years before.
Well, I think we're part of the problem.
We did anything, and one I knew over a year. And anyone that I'm talking to now and entertaining as a potential, minute. And anyone who's listening, who's hoping to get with me, it's not going to happen like that.
Well, I just want to say that there are, societies within societies. And I think a lot of people have a problem with polygamy because they see it and they know that it comes under the construct of patriarchy. And you see, what goes on behind closed doors can be another thing. As I said, there are societies within societies, and then there's what goes on in your house. And so very often, I just want to finish this thought. Very often, that is what comes into it when you hear comments about if I'm spoken to in the right tone and all that. It goes for both sexes. And you can have a polygamous marriage with the matriarchal mindset. It can be done. I did it. I was in marriage, as I said, in a polygamous marriage, one of 3 wives. I ran the house. I did not have to work. He had to work. I got anything I needed. I got anything I wanted. And he was still the man.
Can we do this, sis? Can we do this?
There you go.
Can we ask you to hold on with us because I actually have some questions for you.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind holding on with us for a little while longer, I want to kind of talk to you about your experience. So we want to go ahead and get Jackson finished up because now we're going to be, after we get through with him, we're going to go into the segment where it's just going to be a table talk with just the women.
Great.
Okay. So
well, I want to say this in case you don't get back to me right away.
I'm going to get back to you.
I have no problem with polygamy. It worked for me. It was fine. And I can tell you why when you get back to me.
Okay. Hang on, because I will get back to you. Thank you so much for your comments and everything. Hang on a second. Okay. We got one more. Jackson, you want to take one more, or are you good? We got one more caller.
Sure. And then I got to go put the chickens up for the night before the coyotes get them.
Okay, let me see this last call that we're talking about. And area code 313, are you there?
Hello, yes.
What do you have for us? Hey?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to, I'm tuning into the show pretty much. I'm not polygamous, but I am looking more into it. I want to ask some questions on pretty much as far as the dynamics of it. me looking at it as far as my understanding of how polygamy will work will be basically a monogamous relationship times however many different wives or husbands, but wives since we're talking about polygamy. I don't feel as though it should. I feel as though a lot of people look at the sexual part of it instead of everything else that I have to go into it. All the other dynamics as far as finances, how the husband and the wives work together. Then you also have the other dynamics of how the wives will work together as also. The way I would imagine it will work is that everyone will have to be pretty much evenly yoked. The wives would have to be comfortable with being in a polygamous relationship, and the husband will also have to have the ability to be able to satisfy all his wives, not looking at that in a sexual manner, but as far as being able to spend time with each other, be able to address all their various concerns and things of that nature, and also being able to handle disagreements and things like that in the home. Now, again, I'm not a polygamist or anything like that. I'm just interested. But I would like to ask the previous caller, the woman who just called in, what was the dynamic in her home? Was her husband able to spend time with each of them equally? Was it, I understand that she didn't have to work, so obviously he was able to provide financially for every last one of his wives. And how was finances set up? Was each of them provided for on an equal basis? Was it one wife got more than the other?
You're going to want to ask her that, though. You got to ask.
Yeah, and we will. That's kind of some
She'll be on later.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's going to be back on later, and you should ask her that because, she just.
Okay. Hello, you guys still there?
Okay. Jackson, are you there?
Yeah. Also, I wanted to ask one question for the guest speaker. The current relationship. I understand you're in a current relationship. Is the person whom you are with, is she comfortable with being in a polygamous relationship?
I actually think that we lost him. Let me see if I can get it back here. Hold on a second. Jackson,
hello?
is that you? Okay.
Yeah, I got bumped up.
He had a question for you. I don't know if you heard the question.
I just caught the tail end of that. Please repeat it.
Go ahead, ask it again.
I wanted to ask the one who you're currently dating in a relationship with, is she comfortable with you with being in a polygamous relationship?
I don't want to bring anybody into this. That gets into. Do you understand that she's not here representing? I am.
Okay.
Bring her into it. I'm sorry. That's a legitimate question, but it involves somebody who didn't agree to this interview. Reveal things about myself, but I got to draw the line.
Well, let me ask you this.
That's fine. That's fine.
You can draw the line there. Let me ask you this then. Do you think that in a polygamous relationship, the other women should know each other, or should it be, and I'm just asking, I'm not saying you talk about it personally, I'm saying do you think, what do you think about this, if everyone's in a polygamous, let's say you have 3 girls that's in your polygamous relationship, do you think that they should all know each other, or should it not be until you decide to bring them in as your wife?
I think they absolutely have to know each other, and you absolutely need to let your significant other or others know that you found someone that you're interested in, courting or getting to know or whatever. Absolutely. I believe the women need to have a stronger bond even than the male and the females do. Earlier, the women should run the house, quite frankly. And they have to they're the power in the man is frankly the biggest servant there. He's the king. He has the lifestyle of a king. But what is a king? The biggest servant. Everybody's needs are met. And no, the women, they are the power in this relationship, and they're the only things that are going to make it work. if it's going to go anywhere. And if you have a bad engine, so to speak, it's going to run into a ditch or go nowhere. It's going to misfire. The women are the engine in the relationship, and the man just drives it. And it drives it. It's supposed to run the house. It's supposed to run everything. And he's got enough to do. He just listen to how each one's just listen. Got broke. All the manly stuff that a man's got to fix around the house, he's got to do that times 2, times 3. Although you got to listen to what her mama said, what she today. Well, you got 3 women that want to tell you about what their mama said today. Her mama in the hospital. She's okay now. You just don't. Men don't have no idea. You think it's going to be an orgy. You into women all the time and having to care and respond intelligently. And they need a whole lot of time. You're going to have, 45 minutes worth of fun and sweat, and then you got the rest of the day of chasing down various kids, checking on this, having to hear this one side of the story and that one side of the story, and then how do you make a decision when you weren't even there? You got to adjudicate. You got Lord, the work you got to do. You're a king with all the stuff that comes with it, and there's a glamour and the glory. The whole behind the scenes is a whole lot of administration and a whole lot of work and providing more people to live for, more people to die for. And so it's not a party.
All right, not by any means. Jackson, go ahead before you go and you can get your chicken. Go ahead and let us know once again how to reach your groups on Facebook.
Okay. Actually, I have 2. One is called Afrocentric Polygamy. It's facebook.com/groups/ Now, the second group is a black think tank and survival group because I don't know if anybody's noticing, but things are going to collapse. They're going to have a collapse soon. And anyone that's intelligent enough to realize that, this group is called Brave New World, Surviving the... That's at facebook.com/groups/Brave Nation. And love to see you there, or I will put you out.
Okay, very good. I've already posted the link to get to you on Facebook in the chat room, so you all can go there in the chat room and get that link. And if there's anything else you want to say to us, Jackson, we're all ears.
Okay, I guess on my... It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. We have not really gotten into all I had to say, and what have you. There's more on this that I've never heard anyone discuss but myself that I would love to. And I'm leaving now feeling so much got unspoken, so much that I meant to get to.
You don't have to. I thought you had to know. But if you have something else you want to add to it, please give it to us. We have time.
We do.
Yeah, well, we have a little time. We'll give you a little more time because we did start late. So if you got something else you want to add, please, we're here to try to, learn more about this. So did you want to elaborate on more?
Yes. I actually had some notes here of things that I wanted to be sure that got you.
Okay.
And let's see, we covered that, distraction. There's a double-edged sword here regarding finances. After sex, finances tends to be the biggest subject associated with this. And, of course, at face value, a man needs to be to pay for all of these wives. And on one level. And then on another level, we don't have the ability to just go out and handle things the way we down a tree and build the houses they need and raise your cow the way you need to. Go out every morning and hunt and come back and farm and make sure you have what they in traditional Africa, historic Africa, in the places they did it in. And we've got a lot of things in our way, and particularly black men. our women instead of us. I mean, that's like just on purpose, by design. Because they know we're going to go, it's going to break up our relationships, having our women in a monogamous relationship. They destroy our relationships because they employ our women and won't employ our men. Then the loan companies will not. When we decided we're going to work for ourselves and be independent like a black man ought to be. But yeah, and then our people don't support our business. $1 trillion last year, and we did not spend it on black businesses. And so then a woman wants to come up and go, oh, well, a man needs to be to pay for this. He does need to be working his ass off on making a way to pay for things. But since the dynamic is different, the women can be, if they don't have to work, that's even better. And if they have to be humble, a little more humble, well, you know what? If financially secure before they had us, I wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. And half of the people listening to this wouldn't be here. And that's a low figure here. And so, we can't let that dictate the growth of a race either, because people of quality need to get together by any means necessary. Quote. It's about the quality of the people. If you've got a man who is a strong spirit, a strong mind, just because his plan hasn't reached fruition yet, you would reject him, and what? You're going to get with a guy who's got a job today? He might be the biggest sellout, and you better go for the character of the man, and then work with him to have something. But the man needs to be out there. Sure, he's working on building his plan. He needs to have a plan, and he needs to be at it every day. There's no excuse to not be. You get these women that go, well, if he don't have it, you don't get to play in this game. But then you got to ask the women, what are you bringing? Let me see. You're bringing more than likely kids from some other man, an ex or baby daddy, your bills, your attitude, and what? And your now, what else are you bringing to the table? And now this does not apply to all women, but it applies to most of them. But they're real cocky and arrogant about how to make some money. But he is supposed to be working on having some money, so that's a paradox there. And the funny thing that women that want to come at men.
You still there? Okay. I think we
dowry.
Oh, there you are.
Hello?
Okay, you.
Yeah, the woman's family used to pay a dowry to the man that married her, and no man is give him his dowry. We don't even bring that up. So we're freestyling this. We whatever works.
Okay.
Bro, particularly our men. So. I wanted to mention these things. Is there anything else I wanted to get on? I really want to touch on that finance thing. But hey, ultimately, a man needs to be providing. Make no excuses for that. All I have to say about that is, if he's in some stage where the bear fruit, that does not make him not viable. He needs to keep nurturing that tree, keep feeding that tree until it feeds him. And any woman that's too blind to see and look at material things and value that, she's going to be out of that relationship soon, but she'll probably be happy because she can get alimony, or at least she thinks she can. And anyway, judge a man by his character. And not how much money he's got today. And he can lose that job, too, today.
Okay.
Monogamous relationships, if you're going to apply it to poly relationships, the guy doesn't have his stuff together financially, he shouldn't be in a relationship. If you're going to apply that to polygynous relationships, it applies to a monogamous relationship. It even applies to a man that's married to a woman. What happens when your husband loses his job for 6 months, 7 months, or whatever? He can't afford his wife no more. So I mean, it's a slippery slope, and it's not about finance. It is, and somebody got to pay for this. So somebody better be busy. Somebody better have a plan. When women meet a man, they need to see what kind of plan he got, how far along it is and how intelligent it sounds. And if you can help him with it, then you should do that too. And if you meet a man that does not have a plan, it does nothing to do with it. You should be messing with him on a one-on-one basis. He doesn't even have a plan. Well, then this is not a leader. This is going to be some not even a man. He doesn't even have a plan that he can intelligently talk to you about, that he's working on, and show you what he's been doing on that plan. Walking down that road yet? How he better not end up between your legs, or you a loser. So, and he's going to. Anyhow, is there anything else I want to cover? That'll do for now, because actually I live on a farm. We lost 5 last week to coyotes, and I actually got some coyotes I need to shoot, really. But I'd be happy to come back, and I talk about more than polygamy, though. But you and I, we need to talk. I've enjoyed dealing with you. Give me a call. Let's talk about other things our people need to hear, and I need to have you on my show.
Okay. Well, you know how to reach me, King. And
peace and love to everybody. Ciao, un beso to the ladies, and you, to the.
We thank you so much, King, and you have a wonderful evening. We're going to go into the second part of the show. You take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you.
All right, peace. All right. Listen, you are visiting Zariah Speaks Talk Radio right now, and we're going a little bit longer than we had normally planned to do it, but if you could stick with us for the next part of the show, we really appreciate it. And now we're going to switch gears, and we're going to actually talk to the sisters. And the reason why we did it this way, because we want to, give the men a chance to, the gentleman that we had on, plus the men that called in, we wanted to kind of hear what they said about polygamy and everything, and kind of get their insight of what they thought polygamy was. Now, let me say this before I bring in the sisters, and I'm going to turn your mics on here in a second. But let me say this. I was actually listening to, I was watching some lectures by Brother Polite earlier today, and no matter what people feel about Brother Polite or whatever idea you have about Brother Polite, what I can say is that I respect him as far as how he is actually practicing polygamy. You never see him in public without his wives. You never see him without his children. It's like he's constantly teaching them as he's teaching others. And I believe that your first ministry, if you will, is your family. So I'm really, really excited to see a brother who actually, lets it be known that he wouldn't be anywhere where he is at right now if it wasn't for his wives. And I think he has, and I hope I'm not messing this up, I think he has 4. But again, I'm thinking he does. But anyway, I just love the unity that they have. And it reminds me of the reason why I'm getting into polygamy. Now, this is a new thing for me. Like I said at the top of the show, I actually, got into it for a brief moment. And I say a brief moment, but I got to experience it a little bit. And I can tell you, for me, polygamy is hard. It's a hard thing. And the reason why it's hard is for the obvious. I've been raised to never share a man. I was raised that you get one husband, the picket fence, you get a couple of kids, you go to school, you work, and everybody gets old and die off, and, they retire and they die off. That's how I was raised and how I was taught to do. So this whole idea of polygamy, I had to really do some deep research and study in it to find out, first of all, what it's about. Because I heard people talking about it. And see, we have this problem amongst us as like people that we are so closed-minded to what we've already learned. It's as if we don't want to learn anything else new. So when someone comes along and injects an idea into you that you never heard before, or you've heard it in a negative light, you'll open your mind to it. And so the kind of person I am or I have become is the kind of person that when I hear something, I try to analyze it, I try to do some research and find out what it's about. Now, let me tell you, for any of you men who are listening, the Queen does believe in polygamy. But let me tell you how I like to do my polygamy, okay? Because of my position as owning my own businesses and things like that, I actually have to have be in a family where I'm running and operating that part of the business. I have to be able to do my part of the business. And then I think that in my eyesight, everybody who comes in should bring something to the table. So if you have one sister who is good at, good with the children, good at teaching, things like that, then that should be her primary role in the family. That is to make sure that all the children are homeschool educated, making sure, she, instilling in them good family values and things like that. And we have another lady who is good at, cooking and whatever they're good at. I believe they should bring that to the table because it's all about unity building. It's about a village building for me. It's about us coming together as a whole and becoming a corporation as a whole together. It's about us, building and bringing in resources and raising our children to be resourceful as well. That's what it's all about for me. So if I deal with people or people who step to me, and they don't have that kind of agenda, then me personally, I don't want to practice that type of polygamy. But there's many different types of polygamy. So my way is not, in stone. It's not something that, it's got to be a rule book. Everybody, just like a regular relationship, a monogamous relationship, you have to be comfortable in whatever relationship that you are in. And you have to really understand why you are in that relationship. That goes for monogamous, polyandry, polygamous, whatever. Now, me personally, I don't do the polyandry thing. Now, I could, but I don't get into that. I really just would rather hook up with a brother, hook up with some sisters as we come together as one. Now, what I want to do at this time, I want to bring in my sisters here, and I know I got Kenya Jones is on the line. I got Kenny Clementa on the line. And then I have the sister that we had talked to earlier, and I'm sorry I didn't get your name, sis. I got her on the line, and let me see, I need one more. Tisha. Tisha, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, right on, sister. Okay, before we get started with us talking, I really want to go back and ask the sister in 401. Are you there, sister?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm sorry, can we get your name so I can just speak one more about it?
Miriam.
Okay, Miriam. Okay, please meet you, sis. Okay, so I have a question for you because, we heard the brother talk and everything, and like I said, everybody has their own perspective of doing it, but none of us, as far as I can tell, we've had the history that you had of doing this polygamy thing, practicing polygamy. And you said you were in it for 17 years, so that's why I wanted to kind of have you hang on so we can talk to you about, some of your experiences being in a polygamous relationship. Because the one question I had for you in the beginning was, do you recommend this? And I think you, came in and answered that right before we had, broke the last time, that you were really, recommend this. So can you kind of, and we kind of cutting into our other part of the time, but kind of give us an insight, if you can, what it is like to be in a polygamous relationship with, you say 2 other or 3 other wives?
I had 2 co-wives. And I just want to make sure that I say this up front and not have to reiterate it throughout any of the conversation. And I want to make it clear that polygamy is not for everyone. And rather than, people turning up their nose and not putting up with this and putting up with that, they need to understand that there's a large percentage of people who believe that they are in a monogamous relationship and they're doing stuff on the side.
Right.
And so, and some know that and some don't. I know lots of sisters who knows that the man that they're sleeping with has another woman. And sometimes those two have arguments. I've never been in that. So I just wanted to say that it's about character. And that was one of the main things that the brother said that I must agree with. It's about the character of the person that you get involved with. I didn't have a problem with it because I've only had long-term relationships. So the relationship that I had before, I was almost smothered to death, not physically smothered to death, but smothered in a way of, how sometimes a mate can suck all of your energy out of you, that kind of thing, and take everything from you. So it was a relief to me to know that this man that I married was not going to be up under me 24/7.
Right.
And that was a great help. The other great help is that I had a working relationship with my co-wives. We all knew each other. We didn't know each other before, but we all met each other. Our children had sleepovers in each other's house. We did not live together in the same house, but we had a working relationship. We did not hang out, but we knew each other. We have come to pick our children up from each other's home, and we're cordial, and that's fine. My husband never discussed his personal problems with me, nor did I want to hear his personal problems with his other wives. Time was such that, if he spent 3 days with me, then he spent 3 days with the next one, and then he spent 3 days with the next one. And if for some reason I wanted to go away and visit family, or he and I weren't getting along, I relinquished my time and say, you don't have to come here for 3 days. You can stay where the hell you are. That was a great advantage.
Yeah.
And it's important that they participate. It's not just about, again, the sex. The man still has to participate after going out and making money, just like he does in any other relationship. That trash needs to be taken out. That roof needs to be fixed. So things like that, they still have to participate in. One of the things I didn't like, it seemed to me like, that a couple of comments about the attitude of the women. We must understand that men have attitudes too, only it's called cockiness, or it's called macho. They have attitudes too. You see, it's just because we voice ours instead of not communicating like so many men do. We get this stuff off our chest right away, and you hear from us loud and clear. We can't stand up and fight you physically, but we have mouths, and our tongues are like razors sometimes, or acid. So yeah, we have that going for us. And if anything, he's the one who's, like I said, being pimped, if you want to call it that. So anything you want to ask me, I'm happy to answer.
I had a question real quick, and then I'm going to turn to the sisters. I have like 3 sisters on the phone waiting to ask questions. But I want to know, because I heard you mention about you all knew each other, but my question is, did you know each other from the beginning, or was it like after?
No.
Okay.
No, we knew each other when each one came behind the next one. He was already married to one for, I think it was like 13 years.
Okay.
And then he married another one, and he was with her for 5 years before I came into the picture. In fact, he told the ones before what was going on. So they knew I was coming into the picture. And in fact, one of them even offered up, because she didn't know that he had already bought me a ring, and I didn't know it either. But she offered up her wedding band to me, and she never even saw me. So we had a working relationship. The children were homeschooled, or they went to a private school. It depended on our finances. They started out in private school, and then one of my co-wives is a school teacher, and so that worked. The other one was a nurse. So so they had their income coming in. I moved in from out of state, and I didn't get a job. I didn't need a job, and things got taken care of. So we didn't know each other before, but we had a working relationship. In fact, when I moved, not ending the marriage, I moved because of one of those moves you make for your children. My daughter was in a private school. She was going, getting into middle school. I wanted a good school for her, and so I moved to a state where they had some good schools. And after I moved there, one of my co-wives moved there too, and she came and stayed with me, and we went out and found her a place to live together. He wasn't in the house at all. This was between us.
Okay.
So like I said, we have a working relationship, but she wasn't my best friend or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to know everybody who is in the in the equation. If something happens, we need to know who to go to.
Yes.
I never had a problem reaching him, my husband, anytime I needed to speak to him and he was available. It didn't matter whose house he was in. I could speak to him. The children could speak to him no matter where he is.
See, that's what I'm talking about right there, sis. I like that. I like that because that's what I have in my head. I really appreciate you coming on to, help me to convey that because you have lived through it. Now, I would like to ask any of the other sisters before we move on, if you had a question for Sister Miriam, you can go ahead at this time. Everybody's mic is turned on. Anybody?
Not with your time. She basically said 3 things that I like and that I agree with as far as my views on polygamy. Well, polygamy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling too. That's why I said I appreciate her coming on because you have no idea, sister. You was led by the ancestors because I was just telling them, my sisters, that I said I wish I just can get a hold of this lady I know who's been married about that long, 20, 25 years in a polygamous relationship. So you was right on time. You was right on time. Anybody else have any questions for her?
I do. This is KJ, Kinga Jones.
Okay.
I have a question. Okay, when you met your husband, were you aware that he was a polygamist and you were going to be entering in? Okay.
Absolutely. And when he told me that he already had 2 wives, I turned to him and I said, well, what in the hell do you want with me? That was my first question. And so what he said is something that I like and something that I spread this information to others. He said, I loved my first wife for a specific thing. I met my second wife. I loved her for a specific thing. And then he told me what he loved about me. Sex is understood, but all of the other stuff is character, trust, communication, all of the things that any relationship requires. Even between sister friends.
Okay. And I have one more question. As far as being in that type of relationship, did you feel like you always had your needs met as far as even just time with him? Were there times where you guys had or were at odds because of that specific reason? Or was there any jealousy or any type of vindictive things that I know?
Okay.
I
know
would say this. Yeah, because I know females that, were fighting over guys because they were both born with them, and it was a lot of, jealousy, deceit, fighting.
That's why it's not. That's why it's not for everyone. You really have to be on a certain level of understanding about life and nature, the nature of the man and the nature of the woman. And the jealousy, that tells you that this person isn't meant for polygamy. It's not good for them. They're not at that level of understanding. So I can tell you of one incident. Once I was taking a bus because I hadn't bought my car at that time. I was taking a bus, and I just got on the bus and sat down. I didn't pay attention to anyone who was on the bus. And we got to a stop, and there was a soft tap on my shoulder, and it was my co-wife and my husband together. And so I saw that, and it made it real that, that he was involved with someone else. But there was no jealousy because we didn't try to become buddies.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if there was any jealousy about this one is prettier than that one, or he gave her that and he gave her this, right. I wouldn't know, because even though the women are the power, as the brother said, and I don't know his name, but the women are the power, it's the man who is the central figure, and he's the one who has to handle this. He does.
That's right.
It's up to him to handle things. I mean, I'm not talking about the house or anything. I'm talking about the relationship and keeping cool. And if you keep your mouth shut about what goes on when you're in one person's house, then we've got nothing to bicker and fight about. I don't know if he bought you a brand new coat last week. I can tell you what I got.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Let's go ahead and there was a gentleman that was wanted to ask a question to you earlier. So let's see if he still has a question. 313, did you still want to ask Sister Marion a question? 313, are you there?
Oh, yes. Hello.
Yes. Did you still want to ask her a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask her. Okay, now we're gonna turn it down to separate houses where, just say like separate houses like all within the same vicinity, where they're across town, or how exactly did that dynamic happen?
Right. They already had their homes when I came into the picture. Because the sisters worked, made good money, as well as my husband. They had nice homes. I had a nice apartment, but that was fine for me. That worked fine. I didn't even want the responsibility of owning a house because I already knew about that, and that was a headache that I didn't want. So I lived well. We never, one lived further away than the other, but not so far that, a couple of buses couldn't get us to each other's place if we needed to. For example, when I registered my daughter into the private school, my co-wife was one of the teachers there, and until my daughter learned the route and how to get around, she delivered my daughter home to me every day after school. She didn't come up to my apartment, but she walked her to the door and watched her go in. Right. So we didn't live near each other, and I only went into one of their places before, and and the other one had been in mine. So it was one of those necessary things, and he wasn't even in the picture at the time. He wasn't around.
Mm-hmm. You all worked together. Okay.
Right, we're together, but he wasn't in the house at the time that we were in the house.
Right, he wasn't physically there in the house. Yeah, we got that. I want to take this last call, and then we're going to move on, because I got a panel of women that wants to get in here. We want to do this in the last hour. So thank you, my king, for your question. I really appreciate it. And one love to you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me take this last call for now in 573. 573, are you there? Last call, and then we're going to move on, because I got a panel of women that wants to get in here. We're going to do this in the last hour. So thank you, my king. Okay.
Hello?
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I was wondering what you would say about like a 2-woman, 2-man household, like wives and husbands and like children. Would that be like, I don't know if it's normally too much for
couples getting together? Like 2 couples getting together, is that what you mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not talking about like swinging and stuff. I'm just talking about like taking care of a household and kids together.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you what's your opinion of it.
I don't think it was a good idea for me. All of us in my situation had strong personalities. I've seen other people in polygamous arrangements, many people, and they made the mistake, from what I could see, not in all cases, but most of the cases, they made the mistake of trying to be friends. But then when something goes wrong, somebody throws a slur at the other, and, shit is on. So I've seen them knock down, head-to-head, toe-to-toe fight, next day swole black eye. I've seen that kind of stuff. I'm not down with that at all. I think that it's best for the woman to run her own house. Now, there are certain personality types that can handle it. I've seen it, and but I always felt like when I was around them that they weren't always really being real, and that they were always tiptoeing around to make sure that they didn't get into an argument. And I have to have that kind of freedom to say what I want when I want, and and I don't want any man to be the reason for it.
Right.
So you could have an argument with someone, your co-wife, that isn't even about him, but because you're fucking my man, it's another vibe. You see what I'm saying?
Right, it's a lot of emotional.
So you have to get your hand on the jealousy thing, and everybody's situation is different. Everyone's experience is different. So I learned very early in life by listening to the old folks. I was one of those kids who was fortunate enough that as long as I kept quiet, I could hang around the old folks, because when I was coming up, children were only seen, not heard. And so when grown folks got together, they'd kick us out. But I was quiet, and so I could hear them talk. And one of the things I noticed, the topic of conversation was so-and-so with Miss so-and-so with a broken heart because Mr. so-and-so got a girlfriend on the side. So that triggered in my young mind, well, just learn how to expect that. And is that absolutely the worst thing that can happen? Now, I know I might get a lot of flack for this, but because I don't think a man having sex on the side is the worst thing he could do. And I don't think so, because that's man's nature. And the point I want to make is we have to learn each other's nature. Men don't think the same way we think about the same damn thing. They just don't. So men like variety. Now, I'm not saying this is all women's or all men's nature. I'm saying most men's nature is such that they want variety. Most women's nature is they want that one man. He could be a drunk with no teeth in his mouth, no job. This nigga's still in the house, making babies. She loves him. You know what I'm saying? So that isn't always the case, but I'm just saying that I don't think it's a good idea for the women to be too familiar with each other. As long as they know each other, that's fine. Learn men's nature, learn woman's nature. And if you understand a man's nature, then you know it's just a matter of time that he wants to test some other waters. He's not thinking of it as betraying you. It's just sex to them for the most part.